We are really fortunate to have the three panelists that we have today. They are all LinkedIn and marketing experts. They're going to really be sharing some actionable ideas with us today. So each of you introduce yourselves, take a minute to tell us kind of who you are and what you do. And we can start with Debbie Wemyss.
Your first impression is most important. You know the old saying, your first impression can be your last impression if you're not paying attention to how you're doing it. So I'm hoping to give you a few tips and a couple of shortcuts as well to have a really optimal presence on LinkedIn. So initially, I'm going to just take you through a couple of quick things here. Basic tips, for a great impression. You've got 3 seconds to capture someone's interest. So if you have what's called a keyword optimized profile, and I know I've worked with a couple of you, I know a lot of you further through networking, keyword optimization is essential to be found on LinkedIn. They're getting very close to 700 million members. They expect to surpass that number in about 3 months. And, you keep in touch with LinkedIn through the blogs that they put out in their quarterly reports. I stay up until midnight the day that quarterly report's going to come out because I instantly have to change all of my stats on all of my slides and my reference documents. But they say that you have 3 seconds to capture someone's interest. And it's actually, and I'm sorry I didn't put this back in order. The headshot's really the first thing that people see. I'm going to get into a little more detail on this on the live, when we go live on LinkedIn. But the reason I'm stressing shoulders up, I'll show you a couple of examples in a minute, but it's because if you don't know this, whatever your image you use in your headshot field, when you come up in a search result, you're with 9 other people on the page. There's 10 results to a page. That picture that you've used in your headshot field is actually reduced by 50%. So I say shoulders up for a reason. If you've got a full body shot in there, your face is going to disappear in the results and you're not going to be clicked on because people can't see you. And people do want to see who they're dealing with, whether it's to do business or to connect or to pull a candidate in for an interview. You need to have a good headshot. Smartphones work great. Professional photography is absolutely the optimal way to go. But shoulders up gives you a good frame fit for your face in the frame of that field. So that's why I do like to explain that. 3 seconds to capture interest, the LinkedIn banner, I'm going to talk more about that, but we call it a static ad. This is the image that's behind your headshot on your profile. And if you're a business owner, you absolutely should be taking advantage of that area and put together what we call a static ad. You can pull in your logo, you can pull in a tagline, and now, as of 5 months ago, LinkedIn allows you to put a call to action in that image. They never used to allow that. You weren't able to put a website, phone number, email. Now you can put whatever you want in there. And the other advantage for this banner image is that they now hold your headshot in the left corner, even on mobile. Because in the past, it used to slide over and you had to pay attention, and you'll see my background banner in a second. So Canva is a terrific site. You can create a free account in about 5 seconds with a name, an email, and a password. It's what we use, and we do produce banner graphics for our clients that are not tech savvy or they just don't want to take the patience to learn Canva. That's one of the services we provide. But get something in that background banner because it's the first thing people see when they land on your profile. Now, if you're not a business owner, no worries. A lot of times I'll tell people, go into Google and plug in where you live. Depending on where that is, you can get some really beautiful, free, credit-free images right off of Google that'll fit that field. But get something in there. Anything is better than the blue default. The About section, a new feature, they've just added 600 characters. So now it's gone from 2,000 not words now, characters. There's a big difference. But now you can put 2,600 characters into your summary. And I still call it the summary. They just started calling it About in the last year. But this is where you sell. Do not sell. As Cindy mentioned, I will back her up 100%. Do not sell in your invitations. Do not sell in your thank you note. You have to take the time to build a relationship, and it takes time. I am vehemently against any kind of scraping software that goes into the algorithms on people's profiles and pulls out, and there are companies that are doing this. I'm old-fashioned, but we believe in the belly-to-belly networking and getting to know people, find out who they are, what they need. Then you can get into offering them what you have so that you can solve their pain, their problems, whatever. But the point I'm making is take some time on that About section. And don't make it all about you or your company. You want a mix of information. This is, again, it's relationship building. It's sales 101. You have to get to know people. When they land on your profile, chances are good they don't know you. 90% of the people that land on your profile are probably total strangers. So you're pulling them in. The very first thing you're pulling them in with is your face. So again, there's that headshot emphasis. The second thing, background image. Make it interesting. Have one. And then the third thing they're going to go to, and LinkedIn was bought by Microsoft 3.5 years ago. For those of you who aren't familiar with that, Microsoft has very deep pockets. They have spent a fortune researching member habits. I've been in on some of their surveys. I belong to a couple of LinkedIn groups that are run by LinkedIn staff, and they are only for people that do the type of work I do full time. So I'm very blessed to get in on a lot of advanced things that they're thinking about. They survey us because they know we're out there pounding the pavement, dealing with members all the time. So they do listen to us. And they have proven repeatedly, if you have a summary, people will read it. So once they get on your profile, the objective then, give them something that makes them want to know more about you. And that is the About section. So now you have another 600 characters to work with. Do everything in Word. You don't want any typos. That's a killer. Do everything in Word. You can measure the word count, and then you just copy and paste it into the field. There's a relatively new section, I think, in the past 2 months called Featured. I'm going to show you that. It's easier to show you online, but make sure you're using it. And recommendations. I'm telling you, I don't know how many profiles we've gone on to, clients we've worked with. They are terrific salespeople. They have terrific products and services, and they have a great presence on LinkedIn. And you go down to the bottom, if you're a casual viewer and you're just scoping out different resources for what you need, you go to the bottom of the profile, and that's where the recommendations are. And a person like the one I just described is really hurting themselves by having the latest recommendation that's 8 years old. Okay, so that's going to make you run to your profile now and check your latest recommendation. So make sure you've got some current recommendations, preferably in the last 6 months. Absolutely essential if you are in transition. You really need to pay attention to this. We're doing weekly webinars right now. I don't mean to pitch, but I'm just going to tell you, check out my profile for the July newsletter on July 1st. And we scoped out and interviewed 8 HR executives from several different places, Canada, the US, the UK, and they all agree that they do pay attention to recommendations. So, you want to pay attention to yours. Okay. And I always have some fun with this when I talk about headshots. Now I'm going to show you what not to do to make a good impression. Way too far away. These are headshots I pulled in less than 15 minutes this afternoon. You won't see anybody from this area. I purposely do this in other states so that I pretty much assure myself I don't want to embarrass anybody. But these are a couple of examples of what not to, these are headshots, you guys. Regardless, now the third one I just pulled up, he's a graphics designer. I get it, but that's against the LinkedIn user agreement right there. You cannot use a graphic in the headshot field. It is clear on the user agreement. By the way, you agreed to that agreement the minute you developed a LinkedIn profile. It's about 8 pages long. I'm guaranteeing none of you have read this document. It's about 6-point font, and it's the type of thing when you start a new account, down at the bottom, it says privacy controls and it says, user agreement, and you just check it off and say, yes, I agree, let's go. This is in the user agreement that you will not use a graphic, and that can get you shut down on LinkedIn. I know because I've had people pay me to get them out of what we call LinkedIn jail. There's another one, and this is not relevant to what this guy does for a living. So he's just being, clever with a caricature. This is an absolute no-no. Very cute picture. Probably a relative sitting in his lap. That is not going to give him a professional impression. And you only have those 3 seconds to do that. So anyway, that's the end of my PowerPoint. I'm going to switch over to Juice Plus. Jack Nickel has a home care agency. My point was, use the background banner, use Canva. If you need help, we can help you with it. But if I can figure it out, you can. Anyway, you want your first impression to be a good one. And I do want to show you a couple of things with my profile and another new feature. They have now enabled you to add 100 characters to your headline. Now, right here, my headline, this is 120 characters, what I just highlighted. I was able to add all of this, and now you can do it on the desktop. You used to only be able to do it through mobile. It was a bit of a task. It's much easier to do this type of editing on the desktop application. So you can say a lot more now by adding 100 characters. That is one of the 5 fields on your profile where you must have what's called keyword optimization. Frankly, nobody knows what DW Consulting Solutions is, and the typical headline is going to have the person's latest title and company, and that's it. That's the default headline. So you do want to take advantage of this new option to add another 100 characters. And again, we do everything in Word and then we copy paste over, but these are all pretty strong keywords up until marketing professional. This is a statement I just decided to make because we're emphasizing, we always have corporate coaching. And I was delighted to put our trademarked tagline right in the bottom. So that's another new feature. And speaking of features, and by the way, this is my About section. And what I was able to add with that extra 600 characters was about this much. So really take advantage. Was there a question? Thought I heard somebody. Okay. Take advantage of the added ability to say more in the About section. And please tell a little bit about yourself. This is a relationship building site. I give just a few lines about how I started DW Consulting Solutions and why. Bullet points break up paragraphs really nicely. Absolutely get a call to action in your About section. Don't expect people to go to your website. Don't expect them to leave LinkedIn, and make it easy. You want people to reach out to you. Okay, I'm excited about this section. It's called Featured. This just came into play about 2 months ago. And if you had little thumbnails across the bottom of your About section, they swiped them and made them much bigger. So that's why they're calling it Featured. You can repurpose a lot of things here. Some of your posts that you really like, that you got a lot of traction on, you can feature them here. I'm going to be swapping this out for our July schedule over the weekend. I really like this feature. Actually, I think Beth is on this call. So Beth is the ASL expert in the group here. I love this image for a million reasons. It spells out the word love, and it's just very topical right now. You can feature videos, recordings. This is a magazine article. I lost my job at 57. I was unemployed for 2 years. If you want to know more about that, get in touch with me. I will tell you how to keep the hope going if you're in transition. This is a way to speak to your audience. Okay, and I will lose track of time. Am I out?
You are out.
Okay.
But that was excellent. Thank you so much. So much, Debbie. That was excellent.
Oh, you're welcome.
Indeed.
I think I stopped sharing, right?